Hey, what is going on guys, RvzStealth here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the best champions for every single role for patch 9.16. So starting it off here in the top lane, a little bit of a meta shift. So Riven is going to be dropping out of S tier and Shen is going to be taking her spot in the S tier for 9.16. So Shen is a great pick into the Riven. Riven got nerfed this patch, Shen got buffed, so things are just looking very good for Shen in that matchup. Shen also does very well into a lot of these other most picked top laners, like the Jax, who's going to be played a lot right now. He can do pretty good into Renekton, also can do good into the Kled, so things are just looking great for Shen in this patch. He has been buffed just so much over the past couple of months here that it was kind of just a matter of time until he did make his jump up into S tier. And then for the Alawi pick there, she can do great into a lot of the melee top laners. We're also starting to see a little bit more tank play in the top lane. Malphite got buffed last patch, Mundo got buffed in this patch, so she does super well into tanks, can do pretty well into other bruisers as well, and you can just have a very strong laning phase on Alawi. You can get a really good snowball going, you can just have a lot of pressure in the side lane with her, so I do think she is also another great pick for solo queue in 9.16. And then for the rest of the top lane picks, there are not too much to say about them. Nothing really changed for them in this patch. I guess Jax did get a buff to his Q for some reason, so he gets stronger in this patch. He was already an S tier pick last patch, so right now definitely pick up Jax if you are looking for a good bruiser, split push, dueling top lane champion. Kled's still great right now. Renekton, one of the best early game top laners, along with Darius. And then if you do want to play an AP top laner, if your team's lacking AP, then Kaiser is definitely going to be the way to go. Now moving over to the jungle, not much change in 9.16. There weren't really any super big changes to the jungle that would bump a champion up into S tier or drop a champion down, so you can expect the jungle meta to stay pretty much as to where it was in 9.15. So Hecarim still reigns supreme. I'd say Kha'Zix right now is definitely contesting Hecarim as one of the strongest, if not the strongest jungler in this patch at the moment. Kha'Zix, just with the buff he received last patch, is performing a lot better, can snowball extremely hard through the early to mid game and just take over games. So if you are looking for a hard carry jungler right now, then either the Hecarim or the Kha'Zix are going to be the way to go. And then for the rest of the jungle picks, for Jarvan, for Nunu, and for Vi, pretty strong engage in all three of those champions kits. They all do have the ability to start a fight pretty much whenever they want to, so if you can get a lead in the early game with them, you can definitely take advantage of your lead and continue to snowball. They all also do have very good lockdown in their kits, all have very good crowd control, so either three of those junglers are going to be solid picks for 9.16. And then for Elise, your best AP jungler in this patch, so if your team's lacking AP or if you just want to play an AP jungler, then Elise is going to be the way to go. So taking a look at the mid lane now, like the top lane, a little bit of a shake up here. So we do see Caston moving up into S tier. So Caston gets 30 extra damage now on his W at all ranks. I thought this champion was supposed to have a weaker early game and then scale hard into the mid to late game, but it just looks like he's gonna have a strong early game, strong mid game, and a strong late game. So in this patch right now, especially if you can pick Caston into like melee AP assassins like the Echo and the Fizz, who are gonna be played a ton, you can just destroy with Caston. Even in non-AP matchups, I still think he can do pretty good in this patch right now, even in ranged matchups. So I would say that Caston is going to be one of the strongest picks here in 9.16 and definitely one that I would recommend adding to your champion pool. And then for Syndra, also moving up in this patch, got a great buff to her Q, also a really nice buff to her E, so her mid-game spike is much better now in 9.16. The extra 10% damage on her Q there, you're definitely going to feel it once you do hit the level 9. Also, the extra damage on your E there does help with your poke in the laning phase, your ability to all in at level 6, so just some really solid buffs for Syndra in this patch. And I'd say that if you are going to play the champion, definitely look to ban out Fizz. Fizz is pretty prominent in the current meta right now. He is a pretty strong mid lane assassin pick, and he is one of the best counters to the Syndra, so if you are going to play that pick, definitely look to ban him out. But other than that, there's not too many other things in the current meta right now that completely destroy her, so I do think she is now one of the better mid laners for this patch. And then for the rest of the mid lane picks, we got Talon and Zed remaining S tier, so very good AD assassin picks, very good snowball champions for solo queue. For the Rumble pick, one of the best early game champions in the game, arguably the best early game mid lane champion. So if you want to smash lane, if you want to have perma pressure in lane, if you want to be able to invade the enemy jungler, get him behind in the early game, then Rumble is going to be the pick. Super good mid game spike as well with the Leandrius. He's just basically the perfect pick for solo queue because he's got a great early to mid game, one of the best, and that is where most games are won or lost in solo queue. And as for the Ahri and Malzahar, just going to be your most consistent mid lane picks. Can't really go wrong with picking them. Mal's always going to be useful with your ultimate, with your AoE silence. Ahri also, just that one charm in a mid to late game fight can make the difference, and even if you're behind, if you just find that pick onto the enemy AD carry, catch them out, if they're like 10-0, they have all the gold, then that can just tilt the whole game in your favor. So just two very good consistent picks, and I would definitely recommend having either Ahri or Mal's in your champion pool for 916. And then if we move down to the bot lane, first taking a look at AD carry, Sivir is going to be dropping out of S tier. So Sivir has been one of the best AD carries for multiple months in a row now, so it's about time that she finally does drop out of S tier. With a nerf she did receive in this patch to her W, and the nerf she did receive, I think it was 2 patches ago, she finally has been nerfed enough to drop out of S tier and down into A tier. Replacing her are going to be Caitlyn, and I'm also going to be moving Tristana up as well. Bot lane right now, there's just a lot of different things that you can play. There's so many good AD carry picks at the moment. I think that right now it's probably the most versatile that has been down in the bot lane. You can't really go wrong with picking a lot of AD carry picks. I'd say there's probably only like maybe 2 or 3 AD carries right now that are just not viable, in like Kalista, Ezreal with the nerfs they received in this patch, and then Lucian is also performing pretty poorly. But right now, Caitlyn, super good pick, very good early game AD carry. With the Biscuit nerfs in this patch too, it is a small indirect buff to these strong early game AD carries. So the Draven, the Caitlyn, Tristana with her very strong all-in potential do get indirectly buffed here in 9.16. For Kaiser and Vayne, definitely two of the more riskier champions in the S tier here, but they do scale extremely well into the mid to late game. They do have slightly weaker early games though, so you just got to make sure that you don't fall behind in the early game with these picks, that you don't die a couple times in the laning phase, because if you do that, then it is going to be pretty difficult for you to make your way back into the game. For Jhin, he got buffed last patch. He's also a great pick in this patch as well. For the Xayah and the Tristana, just very good self-sufficient AD carries. You don't really rely on your team to peel for you. You don't rely on your team to be there to back you up when you get engaged on. So they're just great picks into heavy dive compositions. If you notice, the enemy team comp has something like a Hecarim jungle who's played a lot right now. If they got a dive mid lane champion, say like a Fizz or an Echo, then these are just two great picks, and I definitely recommend adding them to your champion pool for 916. For Jinx and for Draven, just two pretty consistent AD carry picks. Draven, very good early game AD carry, spikes super hard in the early to mid game. Kind of the same thing for Jinx, spikes very hard with her 2 items, with her IE into Runins, and she does have one of the strongest mid games for any AD carry in the game. And then lastly, to round it out here, guys, down in the support role, staying exactly as to where it was last patch, so kind of similar to the jungle, and nothing really changed in this patch for support that would move any champions in or out of the S tier. We saw Tahm Kench actually get nerfed in this patch, so definitely stay away from Tahm Kench. If you're looking to carry from support in solo queue, do not play that champion at the moment. Lux did get buffed in this patch, but just not quite enough of a buff to jump her up into S tier. So right now you got Pyke, Thresh, Nautilus, Blitz, very good aggressive support picks. You can have a great time on these champions. You can just snowball the early game out of control if you can hit that hook in the laning phase, or if you can get that early kill. Your ability to zone in lane, your ability to roam on these champions is super good as well. For the Bard pick there, really good roaming support champion. I'd say that Bard is a little bit more difficult to learn for sure than some of these other support picks, but if you can put the time on Bard, he's definitely worth it. He's a super fun champion to play, super strong pick for solo queue as well. Just, I'd say he's the best roaming support if you can play him at a pretty good level. And then for Soraka and Janna, you're not going to be making super flashy plays on these champions. champions. You're not going to be getting a ton of kills in the laning phase a lot of the time with these champions, but they're two of the best picks at just keeping their AD carries safe, keeping their team safe as well. Just the amount of heals that come out of Soraka, the amount of healing and the amount of peel that comes out of your Janna there, along with the shields she provides for her team. Just two of the best supporty supports in the game at the moment. So if you are looking for a support that more so just keeps your AD carry safe, keeps your team alive, then Janna and Soraka are two of the best for 916. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. Those are the S tier champions for all roles for patch 9.16. So hopefully this does give you a pretty good jump on the meta, and it does allow you to understand what you should be prioritizing in 9.16. If you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.